Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are here with Austin from Ohio, and today is Wednesday, July 21st, 2021. I was going to do this video yesterday, but of course, things are happening literally on a minute-by-minute basis now. I mean, you literally cannot keep up. And I know, like, we've said that, and it's been hard to keep up, but no, this is meant literally, not an exaggeration, not figuratively, not metaphorically, no, literally. We cannot keep up. It is impossible to keep up. It's impossible to even still accept that this is going on this long in the future from when it first started. Which I would say when it first started was a long time ago, but more recently, Event 201. That's basically the whole thing. Of course. I am planning a live stream. Not quite sure what day I want to do it yet. I also want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for coming to the last one. It always means a lot. We have great conversations. You guys are awesome. And I have a lot of fun doing it, even though, our situation and all this stuff and whatnot. Also, I'm going to take this time to tell you, download this video right now. Because I can assure you, this video will be taken down. And you will see why as we get moving. Yeah, I'm going to take a risk bringing up some things that I'm going to bring up, but just please download this so we can keep it going or whatever. Okay, everything looks like it's going good with the recording. Alright, let's get into this first one here. So, this is a futurism article dated July 15th. Scientists create injectable swarm of brain-reading nanosensors. If I tell this to somebody right now, they'll call me a crazy sci-fi conspiracy theorist, whatever. But this is pretty huge. Pretty huge news. A team of scientists has developed a new kind of biosensor that can be injected straight into the bloodstream and will then travel to your brain, where they will, according to the scientists behind the project, monitor your neural activity and even potentially thoughts. Right off the bat with this one. Think about the mosquitoes that were released by a certain unnamed nerdy billionaire. What is going on with this? And if they're reporting on it, then that means that they've already had this for a while, right? And they're talking about monitoring your neural activity and even potentially your thoughts, which means that it will monitor your thoughts. This is Brave New World, 1984, Minority Report, Fahrenheit 451, all of it mixed together with a little bit of reality too. And we're dead in the center of everything. The cell-sized nanosensors, aptly named NeuroSwarm 3, yeah, that's real reassuring, ain't it? Can cross the blood-brain barrier to the brain, where they convert neural activity into electrical signals, allowing them to be read and interpreted by machinery, according to work by a team of University of California, Santa Cruz scientists that will be presented next week at a virtual Optical Society conference. Okay. A swarm. When you think of a swarm, you think of maybe cicadas, or you think of like bees. This technology never should have been invented. This goes against everything that has to do with being human. This goes against the very idea of humanity in general. This is terrifying technology. The tech could, which means will, the researchers say, help grant extra mobility to people with disabilities, in addition to helping scientists understand human thought better than before. However, they haven't yet been tested on humans or even animals. Well, that seems like a lot of things nowadays, not tested on humans or animals. NeuroSwarm 3 can convert the signals that accompany thoughts to remotely measurable signals for high-precision brain-machine interfacing. Lead study author Ali Yannick said in the press release, quote, "It will enable people suffering from physical disabilities to effectively interact with the external world and control wearable exoskeleton technology to overcome limitations of the body. It could also pick up early signatures of neural diseases." This is transhumanism in a nutshell, this technology right here. And when they unveil something, they always say that it's good for you and it can help this, it can help that. Kind of reminds me of when they said that, when Monsanto was doing their thing with the genetically modified crops, they said that they're going to end world hunger in 5 years or something. More people are hungry now than ever before. So, it's also a notably different approach to the problem of brain-computer interfaces for most high-profile attempts, including Elon Musk's Neuralink, which are working on implant-based solutions instead of nanosensor swarms. During tests, the team found that their nanosensor swarm is sensitive enough to pick up on the activity of individual brain cells. Single neuron readings aren't new, but the ability to detect them with free-floating sensors, and especially the ability to wirelessly broadcast them through a patient's thick skull, is an impressive technological development. I would say this is not impressive and it's just ridiculous. If further tests continue to pan out, those capabilities could make real-time neuroscientific research simpler and neurological medicine more sophisticated. Quote, "We're just at the beginning stages of this novel technology, but I think we have a good foundation to build on," Yannick added. "Our next goal is to start experiments in animals." Gee, isn't this the greatest piece of technology that you've ever seen in your entire life, guys? It's going to heal your arthritis, your multiple sclerosis. It's going to heal your scoliosis, I don't know, whatever they're saying. No, this is terrifying. They want to be able to know exactly what you are thinking at all times. Nothing more, nothing less. Right now, the best they could do is, shut countries down, close bars, churches, you name it, so people don't talk. But no, if they get this stuff going, then they will know what you're thinking before you even do, probably. It's expected. It's really just expected, but it's terrifying. This is the kind of stuff that we're going to be faced with. There's only going to be a select few of us real humans. Everybody else is going to line up to get this stuff, because it's so cool, right? Give me a break. Moving on. Okay, here we are over at Axios, which is a ridiculous tabloid, but nonetheless. Okay, we all pretty much knew this was coming. Really, we did. And I've told this to people in the past couple days, showed them this exact article that you're looking at right now, and they tell me that that's England, that's not here. And my first thing would be, you do realize that this is a worldwide agenda, right? Why do you think that the whole world has been in lockstep? To use their terminology, the whole world has been in lockstep this whole time. They do things first in European countries to soften the blow, but their main target is the United States. England will require proof of marks, we'll say, for clubs, mass events. Of course they will. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said Monday that beginning in September, England will require people going to nightclubs and other mass public events to show proof of full marks, Reuters reports. Why it matters. Monday also marked Freedom Day in England as the country lifted many of the remaining situation health restrictions despite rising case numbers. The big picture. Let's see, the big picture. A one world government where... Oh, wait, nope, sorry, that's in my own head. Hours after people flocked to nightclubs early Monday morning, Johnson warned that proof of a negative C-19 test would soon no longer be enough to gain admission to such events, per Reuters. This was the danger of allowing government and business to merge. This is why fascism is so terrible, because they can literally just cut you off from your life. And many people would argue, like, oh, it's only public events and mass gatherings and nightclubs. You don't have to go there. Yeah, until it's your local grocery store, then what are you going to do? And then, the sheep, they'll say, oh, well, you don't have to go there. Looks like you won't be going there. You'll be doing something else unless you get that thing. Like, come on. It's really not that hard to see this whole agenda for what it really is. That's the part that gets me the most. It's not hard. Quote, I could serve notice that by the end of September, when all over 18s will have had their chance to be double jabbed, we're planning to make full mark the condition of entry to nightclubs and other venues where large crowds gather, Johnson told a press conference, Reuters reports. Britain's chief scientific advisor, Patrick Vallance, warned that nightclubs and other mass events could prove to be super spreading events that cause infections to rise further. State of play. Other countries are also curbing nightlife in the wake of rising case numbers. The Netherlands almost fully reopened on June 26th, and only 2 weeks later reimposed restrictions until August 13th, ordering nightclubs and discos to close amid surging case numbers. They still have discos? Is it 1970 in the Netherlands right now? Like, what's going on? Of note, despite Johnson's warning to nightlife, he noted the government will not be imposing the same restrictions for pubs, per Reuters. It should say for now. Because yes, they can't do too much at once. So they will, though. How did it start last time? Oh, this is just for, nightclubs and stuff like that. And then it was, well, maybe bars, and eventually it was everywhere, right? We already know this is how they do it. And you know what? We're leading to this in America right now because of the next thing that I'm about to show you as of now. Okay, this is actually my local news station. And, of course, this is probably on your local news as well, because things like this always are. McConnell urges Americans get marked or risk shutdowns again. Let me tell you something real quick. I saw something yesterday where it's talking about, like, sociopaths, psychopaths, emotional manipulation, that whole sort of thing, and it goes in phases. Like, the first one is do this or do this if you're a good person. And people go and they'll do it because they want to be a good person. Right? Next is, the next phase of that would be do this or something bad will happen. That's where we are right now. Do this or something bad is going to happen by their hand. And the last phase, what do you think it is? Do this or else. And I'd say we're pretty much there in some aspects. Okay, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell implored unmarked Americans Tuesday to take the mark, issuing a stark and grave warning of a repeat of last year's rising caseloads and shutdowns if people refuse to protect themselves from the situation. How ridiculous does that even sound? Like, I wonder if this, like the person that was typing up this news article, I wonder if they actually sit there and read what they're writing and really think about it, because you know they don't. McConnell urged Americans to ignore the demonstrably bad advice coming from pundits and others against the marks. As cases skyrocket, he noted that nearly all new virus hospitalizations in the U.S. are among people who have not been marked. Okay, I would like to see that. Let's see the paperwork. There's never any paperwork. I guarantee there won't be a link in this entire thing. If there's anybody out there willing to listen, get marked, McConnell said at the weekly press conference at the Capitol. Oh, and of course, there's an ad for the, Fauci, Rand Paul feud. That's a lie, and it's all theater and garbage, but, Moving this one. Quote, "These marks need to get in everybody's arms as rapidly as possible, or we're going to be back in a situation in the fall that we don't yearn for, that we went through last year," he said. "This is not complicated." McConnell has been one of the most outspoken members of his party in urging marks to stop the V spread, speaking often in his home state of Kentucky of the need for people to get the mark. Without criticizing prominent Republicans who refuse the mark or mock the severity of the situation, including members of Congress, he has expressed dismay at those who choose to go unmarked. As a survivor of childhood polio, McConnell often draws on his own experience having endured that disease and has spoken publicly of the relief that eventually came with the development of marks. Let me tell you something real quick. You want to know what stopped polio and all that? And this is on record, actually. You can look this up and find out very easily. The invention of the modern septic and water system. Before that, people were drinking the same water that they would go number 1 and number 2 in. Clean water. Well, didn't say pure, I said clean, right? Because all the chemicals and stuff. But yes, that is what was one of the main things that stopped polio. I don't care what anybody says, that's the truth. On Tuesday, he said, quote, "It never occurred to me that after the situation, marks that were quickly developed for use in the U.S., we'd have difficulty getting Americans to get the mark." Well, it better occur to you, buddy, because a lot of us know what it really. I'm not even gonna continue on that point right there, because I'm gonna try to mind my P's and Q's so this video will not get taken down, right? Moving on. Okay, and as if it wasn't already bad enough with all of this stuff here going on, now we got something like this. More than 200 people in the U.S. being monitored for possible monkeypox exposure, CDC says. Oh, gee. Look at this. The palms of a monkeypox patient from Ladia, Democratic Republic of the Congo. One, how does anybody know if this picture is real? Even if it is real, how would we know? 2, who's to say that that's even what that is? How come every year there's always a new disease or something that just pops up that we've never heard of before? Right? Crazy. More than 200 people in 27 states are being monitored for possible exposure to monkeypox after they had contact with an individual who contracted the disease in Nigeria before traveling to the United States this month. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, to date, no additional cases have been detected. State and local health authorities are working with the CDC to identify and assess the individuals and follow up with them daily until late this month, said Andrea McCollum, who leads the pox virus epidemiology unit at the agency's National Center for Emerging and Zoonotic Infectious Diseases. Quote, "It's a lot of people," McCollum acknowledged. I can say that about a lot of things. I can make up something like that right now. Like, here, wait for it. Let me think of something real quick. Oh, hey, Austin, how many people do you think have the... I don't know. I don't even know what kind of example to make. Just something stupid off the top of my head. I don't sit around like they do and make stuff up. But it would go something like, oh, hey, Austin, how many people do you think have river pox? Oh, it's a lot of people. And we're just expected to believe this. Oh, these pop-ups. Please quit. The efforts stem from the discovery that a U.S. resident infected with monkeypox traveled from Lagos, Nigeria, on an overnight flight to Atlanta that arrived on July 9th. The person then traveled the same day to Dallas. On July 15th, the individual sought care at a Dallas hospital emergency room where the diagnosis of monkeypox was made. The people being monitored include a number who sat within 6 feet of the infected individual on the Lagos to Atlanta flight, others who used the mid-cabin bathroom on that flight, airline workers who cleaned the bathroom after the flight, flight attendants, and some family members who had contact with the individual in Dallas. Passengers on the Atlanta-Dallas flight with indirect contact, in other words, those sitting near the infected person, were deemed to have had too short an exposure to be at risk, said McCollum. Quote, "We defined indirect contact as being within 6 feet of the patient in the absence of an N95 or any filtering respirator for greater than or equal to 3 hours. Hey, hold on a second. Let's think about chickenpox for a minute. Or, anything like that. Isn't that something that has to do with, like, the skin and, like, touching something after somebody else? Like, if the chickenpox or whatever are leaking, like the fluid, that's how you get it. I don't think you would be able to get something like this through respiratory. So the whole mask thing just makes no sense. You can go all day long with no mask on. If you don't touch what that person touched, you might not get it. But then again, I just might not know. Anything about this. So don't take my word for it. I'm just thinking out loud, Monkeypox is caused by a virus that is related to smallpox, the only human virus to have been eradicated. It causes less severe illness than smallpox, but still quite dangerous. CDC said the fatality rate for the strain of monkeypox seen in the Dallas case is about 10%. So, I'm not even going to say that. Monkeypox is rarely seen in people. There was a large outbreak in the U.S. in 2003 when a shipment of animals from Ghana contained several rodents and other small mammals that were infected with the virus. 47 confirmed and probable cases were reported in 5 states. The outbreak was the first time human cases of monkeypox were reported outside of Africa. In the past few years, Nigeria has seen an uptick of monkeypox cases, and 7 exported cases have now been detected. 4 in the United Kingdom, 1 apiece in Singapore, Israel, and the United States. In one of the importation events in the UK, a local healthcare worker was infected after having unprotected contact with the patient. So, I really just might not be understanding. I'm not sure. The original source or sources of the monkeypox virus have not been identified, though cases have been linked to handling of bushmeat and the trade of exotic small mammals. The disease triggers fever, chills, swollen glands, characteristic rash that disseminated across the body, including on the palms of the hands and soles of the feet. And it says it spreads through a variety of ways: inhalation of respiratory droplets from infected people or contact with their lesions or bodily fluids. Can also be transmitted by having contact with bed linens or other items that have been used by an infected person. And it just keeps going on pretty much about stuff like that, which, well, there's only one more paragraph in this article, so I'll just read it. The incubation period for monkeypox, the time from exposure to symptoms, can be anywhere from 3 to 17 days. Though the CDC has asked state and local health authorities to monitor the infected people for 21 days, a period that ends on July 30th. Most people who contact monkeypox do so within 5 to 13 days, which means if additional cases are found, they will likely start to show symptoms soon. We're in the time frame where we certainly want to closely monitor people, McCollum said. Stuff like this is going to keep going on. This whole situation, no matter what it is, they can just come out now and say that there's a new thing running rampant, and then they can now get away with everything they've been getting away with, plus more. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a dual, two diseases at once, and then they said, oh, this one requires us to do this, but this one requires us to do this. They'd be able to get away with a lot more going about it that way. We're just going to have to keep an eye on these people, I'm telling you. The time for games is gone. The time for sitting around is gone. Like, they're going for all of it. This is their big move toward the New World Order. Nothing more, nothing less. That's all it is. That's all it is. Moving on. All right, here's a good one. It's Forbes magazine. George Soros and Bill Gates back consortium to buy UK maker of situation tests for $41 million. Everybody's favorite. Come on. Block. Cancel. Oh, I really hope this doesn't... If my thing fails, I'm going to make a part 2. Actually, hold on. I don't want this to happen. Okay, sorry about that, guys. There's just a lot of pop-ups on that one, and that's usually what messes my recording apps up. But this one will have to do. This one will have to do. Okay. So, our two favorite people, Bill Gates and George Soros, back acquisition of UK diagnostic technology group Mologic. And these are the C19 tests. If these two are teaming up on something, you know it's not good. Two of the most diabolical people in the world. Only two of them, though. There's way more. But these guys are... This is some of the big money behind everything that's going on. And we haven't heard from our friend, old Billy Goats, in a long time. So... Supported from Bill and Melinda Gates, the acquisition is part of the launch of Global Access Health, a social enterprise that seeks to expand access to affordable medical technology. Ooh, yeah. Two people that want to, Anyway. The first thing on the Georgia Guidestones, we'll just say that. Two people that would like to see that realized. The Soros Economic Development Fund, founded by George Soros, of course, with support from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and several philanthropic investors, has announced the launch of Global Access Health, a social enterprise that will seek to expand access to affordable medical technology. As part of this initiative, the group has financed the acquisition of UK-based Mologic, a developer of lateral flow and rapid diagnostic technologies. The members of GA will say, we'll invest at least $41 million in this deal. Why it matters. Oh. Mologic develops tests that can help combat tropical diseases such as dengue, or I'm not sure how to say that, dengue, bilharzia, and river blindness, as well as for C19. SCDF's investments in GA and GAD are part of a portfolio of recent investments made in service of Open Society Foundation's commitment to expanding global access to affordable public health products and technologies. The initiative will aim to achieve this through decentralized research, development, and manufacturing in and for the global south. The transaction will give the project the ability to address gaps in the provision of global diagnostics in low-income communities and regions. So you already know what that means. Taking out the poor people. Quote, testing or diagnostics are vital for everyday public health needs to enable doctors and medical professionals to provide patients with proper treatment as early as possible, said Roxana Bonnell, public health expert at the Open Society Foundations. As we have seen during the situation, access to testing is absolutely essential when it comes to containing the spread of a contagious disease, an issue that ultimately affects us all. The larger context. Recently, Indian healthcare solutions provider HealWell24, together with actress and philanthropist Gul Panang, has launched its latest web platform that provides a space for doctors and patients to connect. Oh, man. They're really moving on this stuff. They're really trying to realize their long-sought vision, you could say. Sean Hinton, SEDF's chief executive officer, said the situation has painfully demonstrated the fundamental inequities, I almost said inequalities is what it looks like, in global public health, and in particular the crucial importance of access in low and middle income countries to low price, high quality, life-saving diagnostic tools. In this unique transaction, philanthropic funds and investors are working together with a skilled and visionary management team in a truly innovative way to address at least one part of that failure by enabling a cutting-edge commercial business to focus all its resources on solving one of the world's most pressing public health issues. Let me stop for a minute. What makes you think that these billionaires, people with power, care about low-income, poverty-stricken people? And I always ask people, and this may not apply to you guys, it doesn't really apply to me because I, care about everybody, but in your day-to-day life, and I would ask this to like just a regular person on the street, like that dude over there that's coaching football, it looks like. Do you, yourself, as an individual in your everyday life, do you care what happens, truly do you care what happens in these areas, in these different countries? And the answer is no. No matter what anybody says or how self-righteous they want to be, no. Most people in their day-to-day life do not care even about their fellow countrymen, wherever country you're from, it don't matter. And the proof in that is the fact that everybody is still engaging in the hoarding of everything they can and not being generous to others. Some people won't even give you a cigarette anymore. Some people won't even give you like a couple bucks if you're seeing like panhandling or something. People just keep driving on by. You know why? Because nobody truly cares. So what makes you think that these billionaires, who have been far removed from any human emotion, any form of caring or anything at all, what makes you think that they actually care enough to go through all of this, put all this money forth, all these studies, hire all these people to try to get these people better, right? It's what people believe. Oh, they care about them. They want to give them access to life-saving technology. You got to ask yourself, what would be their benefit for doing that? Giving people life-saving technology. And most people would answer, oh, because they care and they'll be saving people and then they'll be able to sleep at night. On the flip side of that, what's their reward for actually, well, for doing what they're actually doing by providing this technology to all these poor areas? What would they gain from that? We already all know. These are questions that nobody even thinks about ever. Nobody thinks about just these simple questions, and not just this. No, not just this. Anything. Anything that they don't think about it further than what they tell them on TV. And if they do like start to question it, they'll just be like, I wonder why they're doing that. And then they'll go right back to what they were doing. And that, my friends, is the truth. I call them how I see them. I don't even know what to say about any of it. So yeah, apparently these two billionaires who, well, apparently they care so much that they're giving all of these life-saving technologies to these people for free. That's another thing. When have they ever given anything out for free unless it was to hurt you? Okay, Mark Davis, CEO of Mologic, said, quote, Mologic's transition to a social enterprise is a deliberate, of course it's deliberate, logical and natural step for a company focused on delivering affordable diagnostics and biotechnology to places that have been left undeserved by the relentless pursuit of profiteering. With the support of our shareholders, donors, and partners, we've come a long way. We believe we have the people and the skills required for the challenges and opportunities ahead. And we hope this unique transaction will be an example for others to follow. What a lion's sack of whatever. And that's really another thing. What he just said is the opposite of what they're actually doing. These people only care about themselves. Everything they do is to line their own pockets, gain more power, all of it. This is absolutely, it's sad, is what it really is. It's sad. It's very sad. Moving on. What would be a good video without exposing some of their, longer held lies? And this would be one of them. Still trying to, justify this. And I can't help but notice something funny about the shape of that rocket. Do you think they noticed that? Jeff Bezos rockets to the edge of space on Blue Origin's first crewed flight. No, don't like that. Oh, man, you see that, guys? Okay, I did some math on this, by the way. And make sure I hit my record button. That's good. Okay, so they said the Branson guy went about... They said he went about 50 miles up or so, something like that. And they said Jeff Bezos went 66 miles up in total, which, of course, right there, let's take some time to think of, 6'6", of course, Luciferian. If we're going based off of the one video where the rocket hits the dome, it reached an altitude of 73 miles. So far, Jeff Bezos went the highest. So if he went up 66 miles, he's still about... What's going on here? What is that X? What is this? Why is that? I don't know what that is. Anyway, so... Why did that just happen? Well, I guess we won't read about the weird looking rocket, but I will continue my point though. He went 66 miles, right? Let me try to go back and see if that'll do something. I don't know why this is happening. Okay, we're back at this article. Am I still recording? I'm sorry, guys. This kind of stuff happens to me all the time. Okay, so, sorry, 66 miles. That means he was 7 miles off of where the firmament actually is. And people literally believe that this guy went to space. I should have told him to go another 10 miles. Go up another 10 miles, buddy. Make it a 76. Oh, no, because they know. They know that it's up there. You know he knows that it's up there. That's why he only went 66 miles high. If they could go, they would go. If it was legit, of course this guy would go. This is like his dream, right? There's so many things wrong with this, but let's go ahead and jump into this one for a little bit at least. We'll entertain it, but it's just what I was thinking. I already did the math on it, and the other guy went about 50 miles high, so nowhere near where the firmament is. It's all just a big show to keep the lie going, and they're saying that he rocketed up into space. No, he went 66 miles high. Jeff Bezos finally has his astronaut wings. Under the picturesque dawn sky of the West Texas desert, the 57-year-old ex-Amazon CEO, another thing, he did step down, scary, founder of space tourism company Blue Origin, rocketed into space for a brief moment, calling it the first step of something big, I'd say. It all happened 52 years to the day since Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin lied about press their boot print into the moon. Atop the Blue Origin rocket, locked inside a gumdrop-shaped capsule, Bezos' brother Mark and aeronautics legend Wally Funk, 18-year-old customer Oliver Damon, headed off toward the invisible arbitrary boundary separating Earth and space. As part of mission NS-16, approximately 3 minutes after liftoff, the crew experienced weightlessness for the first time and touched the edge of space. Hoots and hollers erupted from the cabin, and staticky calls of "that's awesome" permeated the live broadcast. Come on. People literally believe this stuff, by the way. I just brought this up really to show that look. The 4-person crew unbuckled from their seats after the New Shepard rocket lifted their capsule beyond the stratosphere. The capsule reached a peak altitude, or apogee, of around 66 miles, approximately 106 kilometers into the sky. How come we didn't go up another 10 miles or so? Huh. Let's, ridiculous. And look, they get all dressed up. They're like, yeah, we went to space, guys, even though we didn't. And people literally believe that these people went to, outer space. It's all just ridiculous. And they're saying, like, this person to visit space. If you use their own numbers, they're lying. 66 miles is not, the homemade rocket that the guy had went 73, and then it hit something. Why couldn't he have gone higher? Huh. That's a good question. Let's move on. I just brought that up for, just to talk about that. Okay, this is actually the last thing I'm going to bring up because it's a good bit of reading, and this video will probably get taken down, so I shouldn't even waste my breath on a couple more news articles, and I don't want to have to read that anyway. We're going to go into this. Forced marks and the road to digital tyranny. Agenda ID2020 revisited. Now, This is actually, wait a minute. This is not. I was reading this earlier. Wait a minute. That's right. That's right. Yeah, these first two paragraphs are satire, but I won't even read that because it's just stupid. It's just like, okay, lost love. The gladiator games are over. The soccer players went home, both in South America and in Europe, to continue celebrating without masks and without social distancing. And the Olympics in Japan will be taking place in virtual mode. Arenas without live spectators, the infection case numbers are on the rise. A scaringly rapid rise, the Delta variant and Wave 4 are at the doorstep. Actually, they're knocking at the door, in some U.S. states at least, and soon in Europe. To give you a last chance to get the wonder jab. The directors of the world, the Merkels, Macrons, and other compromised world leaders, plus their nameless tiny elite bosses way above them, are calling for tightening the screws again. To use Madame Merkel's terminology of what she decided to do with the German people a few months ago, she has hardly loosened the screws since. The populace has had their summer fun. They've enjoyed their gladiators. Now reality sets in again. Preparation for the fourth wave. New lockdowns. It's coming. If you don't know that there's another lockdown coming again, the real lockdown, there's something wrong with you. Imagine, we are only in the year 2021. There are another almost 10 years left in the UN Agenda 2030 to accomplish the nefarious objectives of the Great Reset, if we, the people, don't stop it. The tyrants, first in disguise, then in semi-disguise, now with the fourth wave coming, they show their true face, wide open, no scruples. They have... Oh, excuse me, hold on. Okay, they have been given their quota of vaccine, by the higher masters, and God forbid they may not reach their targets. The presidents of Tanzania and Burundi, they did not want to mark their people with the poisonous M R N A marks. They knew about and had natural remedies to heal. Well, there was no firm evidence they died mysterious deaths just a few months ago, and nobody dares to investigate them. And there's an article right there. Tanzania president raises doubts over... Yeah, boom. The president of Haiti, Jovenel Moise, a right-wing president who was the object of mass protest on July 7th, was assassinated in the middle of the night in his bed by a well-organized group of 28 mercenaries, they say. He too said there was no need to mark Haitians. They were free of masks and they were free to hug and socialize. No social distancing, and Haiti's case numbers and deaths were very low. Proportionately, much lower than the artificially blown out of proportion fear-inducing cases, disease, and death numbers of the obedient, tyrannical West. Haiti was the only country in the Western Hemisphere which refused to implement the mark. Now we know why he was killed. In bitter irony, immediately following Jovenel Moise's assassination, President Joe Biden sent 500,000 marks, and more to come, courtesy Uncle Sam, which were promptly delivered to Port-au-Prince 6 days later on July 14th. So there's the agenda. Remember Agenda ID 2020? What we are living today is the Lockstep scenario, according to infamous 2010 Rockefeller report, confirmed by Klaus Schwab, the Great Reset. These Rockefeller reports' four scenarios, Lockstep, Clever Together, Hack Attack, and Smart Scramble, weird, have been on the drawing board for decades. Ever so often, we were told and warned about the deadly actions they had in store for us. This is part of their cult. They have to tell people, and they did on numerous occasions. Nobody listened, for example, by publishing the 2010 Rockefeller Report, which was never a secret, not even now. See this, page 34. Have you noticed the scenario hack attack is being tried out in plain sight? Yes, it really is. They're following this to a T. And people still say there's no plan. There is a plan, and it's easy to see, and you can literally download the PDF and read the plan. That's how confident they are, that they know how stupid people are. Not even that they think. No, they know. Excuse me. The highly propagated blame and breach of cybersecurity is on Russia and China, and hardly anybody is linking it to the openly displayed chapter hack attack of the 2010 Rockefeller Report. Are we so blind or brain-brushed and brainwashed to ignore the open warnings we receive? Then almost simultaneously, Bill Gates' TED Talk February 2010 in Southern California, where he says, quote, "If we do a really great job, we could reduce world population by 10%, 15%. And it's actually, he says, I have it memorized. He said the world today has 6.8 billion people. It's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new V's, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. And then there's the Luciferian Swiss Goddard Tunnel inauguration in 2016. Oh, you guys remember that. People say Switzerland is one of the cult's main hubs. All the European government leaders and other hotshots were sitting in the front line watching this nefarious spectacle. Just coincidentally starts with the Lockstep scenario. And then there's a 6-minute video. I will put this link in the description. I will. So you guys can go through and watch the videos and whatnot. So you can remember what it was like. That's when they did all that weird stuff in that tunnel. Event 201. As if this is not enough, there was Event 201 that took place on October 18, 2019 in New York City. Just a few weeks before the start of the situation. What turned out to be a situation pandemic, I will say. I'll just say it. Sponsored by the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, funded by the Rockefeller Foundation in partnership with the World Economic Forum, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation with participation of the WHO, UNICEF, other UN agencies, and of course, the World Bank, IMF, and many more. This is like putting it all in perspective, guys. Like, when you condense it all down, it's really just crazy to see the plan. The event portrayed a simulation of things to come, a situation. SARS, China 2002-2003, thus called SARS-CoV-2, later renamed by WHO to C-19. Simulation of what we are living since the beginning of 2020. The simulated virus caused 65 million deaths in 18 months, destroyed the world economy, and left humanity in chaotic shambles. Surely there were many more such introductory demonstrations on what they intend to do with us. Even though they played out right in front of our eyes, we largely ignored them all. This profoundly immoral and criminal endeavor has been on the drawing board for years. The final and formal decision to go ahead now, albeit planned, was taken January 2020 at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Behind closed doors, of course, the Gates Gavi, and we all know what that is, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, et al., they're all behind this decision, the implementation of Agenda ID 2020. And there's links and stuff too, so I will post this stuff, guys. The key points and predictions of these Agenda ID 2020 linked articles were published by GR on 12 March 2020. The key points are the following. Forced marks under police and military surveillance. Those who refuse may be penalized, fines, and or jail, and force marked all the same. So if you refuse, not only are you going to go to a black site, whatever, but you will still take that mark. Quote, people really don't know what kind of cocktail will be put into the mark. Maybe a slow killer that acts up only in a few years. Or a disease that hits only the next generation, or a brain debilitating agent, or a gene that renders women infertile. All this is possible, always with the aim of full population control and population reduction. In a few years' time, one doesn't know, of course, where the disease comes from. The level of technology in our biowar labs have reached US, UK, Israel, Canada, Australia, etc. Along with the mark, if not with the first one, then possibly with the later one, I almost don't want to say it, but nanochip may be injected unknown to the person being marked. The chip may be remotely charged with all your personal data, including bank accounts, digital money. Yes, digital money. That's what they're aiming at. So you really have no control anymore over your health, other intimate data, but also over your earnings and spending. And I will put my 2 cents in here. Your entire life, everything you ever do, your kids and grandkids will ever do. It's crazy. Your money could be blocked or taken away as a sanction for misbehavior. For swimming against the stream, you may become a mere slave of the masters. Comparatively, feudalism may appear like a walk in the park. Lo and behold, precisely this is happening. We thought forced mark is anti-constitutional and could never happen, but it's just in the process of being imposed. Why is it possible? Because the constitutional democratic rights of people throughout Europe and most of the Western world have quietly been overtaken by health martial laws, and were quickly passed through when the respective parliaments, with most people not even noticing. And people are still saying that certain things can't happen here. So many things have already happened here that people said could never happen here, that I'm convinced that anything could happen here now. And as to what's in the marks, mostly nefarious, toxins, graphene oxide, and there's a link for that too, so you guys are going to have a lot of fun with this one. This means our constitutional human and civil rights have been suspended. Get out of here. I get weird calls all the time, I'm telling you. The governments could do whatever they want in the name of health. They could storm your house, arrest you, fine you, put you in jail, or even mental hospital. All has already happened with the mainstream media hardly reporting on it. Keep one thing in mind, and that's very important, keeping always before your eyes and in your mind. Tyrants don't create tyranny, people do by their obedience. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Keep also in mind the mainstream media are bought by governments and by the order given cult above the governments. As an example, in tiny Switzerland with 8.4 million people, the government just a few weeks ago decided to increase the subsidies to the mainstream media by another 120 million Swiss francs, about 132 million US dollars, to an annual aggregate of close to $500 million or $550 million. That sum obliges. Imagine what sums are being dished out to the media in the rest of Europe and the US, most of all, coerced 193 UN member countries. Yeah, if you're part of the UN, even if you're not actually, this stuff is coming to you. Wherever you are, it don't matter. Forced marks announced in France on Bastille Day. And of course, July 13th, day before the French National Independence Day, Bastille Day, very day celebrating the French Revolution, July 14th, 1789. When the French broke loose from royal feudalism, they gave an example for others to follow. On that very occasion, French President Macron announced forced marks to begin with all health service employees, no attending of public events, public transportation, a ban on movie theaters, restaurants, and even shops, and of course, no flying for unmarked people. Looking more and more like this thing could be the mark of the beast, don't it, guys? Remember, the only criteria is if you won't be able to buy or sell, and you won't. This was foreseeable as Germany, Greece, Canada, and others have passed similar laws. Others to follow, probably the Netherlands, Italy, and Spain. Boris Johnson, UK, may join the gang later. As of 19 July, declared the UK totally free of any restrictions. Maybe he's fulfilled his marked quota and gives people, or rather the economy, a little reprieve. Before the cult cracks down on him and other coopted, coerced leaders, again, there's a lot to be done to complete the UN Agenda 2030 and foremost, Agenda ID 2020. Yeah, they got to get the ID 2020 stuff down before they implement the 2030 stuff. That's why they put a decade in between them. Okay, and instead of the French celebrating their freedom from feudalism and oppression, millions took to the streets in Paris and major French cities to demonstrate against Macron and his abject dictatorship, which they will achieve remains to be seen. Mainstream media hardly covered the protests, of course not. They were paid not to incite people to bond in solidarity. Yeah, they're looking to divide, not, unite. Apropos solidarity, a little anecdote. Swiss citizens, as a step toward a direct democracy, have, since the constitutional revision of 1891, the right to launch a referendum against the law. It takes 50,000 validated signatures. As somewhat of a surprise, on March 7, 2021, a people's referendum rejected a law governing a proposed electronic identity system, the so-called EID Act, Agenda ID 2020. By more than two-thirds majority, the Swiss ID 2020 would have connected everything on personal... Well, I've connected everything to everything on personal data. Let's see. Let me just go ahead and skip down a little bit because I really got to hurry up, guys. After the law passed in Parliament, a small but significant amendment was introduced in this C-19 law. Friends of the Constitution launched immediately a new referendum. This time in less than 5 weeks, 187,000 signatures were collected, an all-time record for a referendum in the last 130 years of the Swiss right to referendum. The new referendum will be voted on November 2021. Let's wait and see whether this time people will reject the Swiss health martial law. I feel like it's too late. In most other European countries, a situation, martial law was passed by parliament or by government decree with no saying by the people. It's also happened here too, guys. The key in a situation like the one the world faces today, where a small cult of evil but dirty rich people attempt to take control of the world, of the population, the financial system, manufacturing and infrastructure apparatus, people's solidarities in spirit and in actions is key. We are 99.999%. They are the 0.001% or less. We shall overcome their nefarious, tyrannical attempt to rule the world, attempt to do away with sovereign nation states and convert drastically reduced world population into a one world order, OWO, or New World Order. They shall not succeed, but we must remain peaceful, non-aggressive, but in solid solidarity, steadily moving forward like flowing stream, gathering ever more momentum and strength toward a mankind, sovereign states, and with a shared future. You can actually participate in the global efforts to cripple, I don't like to use that term, New World Order. Not that term, I don't like to use the term deep state. Organized criminal cabal's ability for genocide while enjoying healthcare freedom at the same time by boycotting Big Pharma for good. I had more, guys, but I really have to get going, and I think this video is going to get taken down anyway, so let's go ahead and say the Lord's Prayer, and we'll pick it up again tomorrow, actually. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.